Welcome to the Goobland Podcast. This is where I will interview members of the community, such as content creators, sandbox builders, mentors, or any such of the sort. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into our show with our new guest. Welcome back to another episode of the Loopy Podcast. I am here with our very first guest, Weller. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing swell. Thank you for asking. So, to start off, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
This is Weller 107. This is actually inspired from a bourbon that I enjoy, so that's where that comes from. Been playing pop now for, I don't know, I guess probably shortly after you started, I'm guessing, because I don't have like the haze, but I kind of started right after that.
I was December 2020, the winter event. That's when I started. So
yeah, so I was February, I guess, of 21. I guess. I know.
So
I think I caught the question. Yeah.
You were like right before season 1 then.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Right before season 1. I think the first thing I could buy was the vampire. I forgot the name of the skin.
Vlad.
Yeah, Vlad. And I was like, I don't really play this game.
That was February. Yeah.
Worked for a large IT company. Been playing this game for a long time. Found my stride when I was invited to the builder beta and spent probably 6 months in there. So yeah, that's me, I guess.
Alright, so now obviously the biggest thing you're known for is your many maps, mostly your recreations of other games like Doom and I can't.
Doom.
Yeah, GoldenEye. That's what I was
Quake.
looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to make those maps? Like, was it another person, or did you just like come up with it on your own?
So yeah, going back to as soon as I got into the builder beta and Spike gave us the 1-hour demo, I knew exactly what the first thing I was going to make was going to be Complex from GoldenEye. I had played that game throughout all of high school, showing my age here, right? But that's what, that 4-player on the Nintendo 64, that was huge back then. And I remember me and my buddy Donnie, we would play that game for hours, just 1v1. And, it was on a split screen. So like, you were no longer looking at the bottom. You were like constantly looking at your opponent's screen. And you knew the maps were memorized. So you knew it was this big game of chess before you guys would finally like intersect, So it was just, I was just like, man, I had so much fun. I think that would be fun to play here in Pop 1. And so I remember I'd spent an entire weekend. I booted up and dusted off the 64. On that particular level, there was like a pattern for each like tile or sprite. And so I was just counting. I was like, okay, it's like 18 down, 4 left, 6 right. And I kind of made up what my scale was going to be. And so I made this huge checkered pattern, and in the first iteration of the beta, it ran so choppy because it was trying to do too much. Eventually, I had to like stretch everything out, so it didn't cost so much budget. But the biggest compliment I got when we played it in the playtest back on TDM day was this guy told me after, he's like, dude, I died. He's like, as soon as I died, and I spawned somewhere else, he was like, it was amazing because I knew exactly where I was, again, from his childhood, right? He had played that game and it was, ingrained in his brain. So that was, again, I was like, I wanted to make that. And then, I kind of went on a tangent of, I wanted to kind of do all the games that I grew up with, or all the maps, whether they were on PC or 64, or other consoles. I wanted to bring those to Pop 1 because I enjoyed them. And I had a pretty good idea that I thought other people would enjoy them as well. And they've been pretty successful.
And do you have any advice for people recreating other games inside of Sandbox?
Ooh, I mean, so there's some really cool remakes I've seen that I might have done the game settings a little different. When I did my first Quake map, I turned climbing off. It's called Fragtown. And I got a lot of flack from like Chapman and Alaskan Assassin, I guess Void now. That they couldn't climb and that the builds were getting in the way of everything because you couldn't just kind of hop over and keep in pursuit. And I was like, I'm gonna leave it. And then I ended up changing it. And so there's a lot of good builders out there that want to make it like true to the game. But the one thing I will tell them is like, look, you can climb and fly on anything, so don't rob us from it. Because when it comes up in sandbox voting and I see like no climbing, automatically not voting for it. Doesn't mean that everyone else, you know, is going to follow me. You know, 9 times out of 10 it ends up getting played, and I'm just like, ah. You know? So I would say, if you're recreating a level, keep in mind that you may need to augment things for Pop 1. Like, I tend to leave a bigger ceiling than what was in the original level because it feels too claustrophobic. So like in Complex, you can almost stack maybe 2.5 of me to get to the ceiling. Or it might even be about this tall. This looks about right. So I think you should be able to kind of climb and have that ability to move around. It shouldn't just be a ground walking game.
And so you're talking about the climbing. The reason why I turned it off is I had a bunch of people just like grabbing onto stuff and flying, and like while you're trying to make a video, it doesn't really work out very well. So that's the reason why I turned it off here. So I'm sorry.
Oh, you know, it makes sense for here. 100% makes sense for here. Trust me, I was already going like, why can't I?
Yeah, you're like, why can't I?
Why can't I like head peek and talk to him?
It's her, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Her, sorry, yes, sorry. Why can't I head peek and talk to her?
Yeah, it's fine. So, next question here. If you could change any one of your maps, like if there's an issue with it or the game rules like you were talking about, which map would you change at least one thing about and make it better? If you even think that they can be better. You can obviously say that you think they're fine the way they are.
I think if I was able to, if there was something I could change, it would be like for a function that isn't a part of the game now. You know what I mean? Like, the maps have pretty much been taken to their final conclusion. Even Complex, right? Which was really fun because I still have the original map. I've saved a copy of it, and when we only had the 8 textures, it's really dark and like rough. Then I had the first version when it got to here, and then I have its most current. Then I actually have a copy of the one where I did all the Christmas lights all over it and all the snow. Then I have the current version now, which is in its final form, which is really awesome. But nobody plays it anymore. It's not on any lists. But so if I could change something, I guess, okay, yeah. I guess now that the rockets have been fixed in Sandbox, I went through half my maps and took a lot of them out because people were telling me they didn't want to play them because the game kept crashing. Specifically for PC players. If whoever fired the rocket first didn't have to be you, all the PC players would get ejected from the lobby most of the time.
Wow. See,
so
I don't spend a lot of time in Sandbox, so I didn't even know that existed. I usually spend my time in squads, so wow, that's news to me.
That was like a thing that went on for 4 months, you know? So people had put a lot of time into these maps, and like, you know, you kind of, some people take a lot of care into the placement of the weapons on the map, you know? So it's like removing the rocket kind of, you know, it's going to change the map a little bit. So you don't have something long range. And so whenever we place them too, we do red rockets. So red rockets hit like 150 or 160, like a rocket should, you know? So they're extremely powerful. So when you kind of take that away, you know, and you just have the guns left, it sucks a lot of fun out of the game for me.
But this next question kind of merges in with what you were mentioning earlier about stuff that's actually in the game. Do you think that it would be a good idea to have a game builder inside of Pop 1 where people will be able to make their own game modes? Maybe sort of like mini games, sort of. I guess you could say kind of like UEFN in Fortnite. That's like the closest
I think that would be
thing
cool. Yeah, I do think that would be fun. I guess I would wonder if that's something that would exist in headset, you know, to kind of build these other modes, or outside of headset. You know what I mean?
I feel like that would definitely more be sort of like a outside headset kind of thing. Like you'd have Sandbox, which is like in headset, where you can just build maps like this. But if you want to make a game, you'd have to download something maybe from the big box website. Some like
software development kit, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that'd be cool because, you know, they nailed the mechanics. You know, until another game comes along, I mean, this is the bar.
And so, this is also kind of in that same category of question. If you were to have, if Big Box came up to you and they said, all right, Weller, we want to make you a game mode that you want? Like, what kind of game mode would you want to be added to the game? It can be a
Capture the
remix
flag.
of Capture the Flag. All right, I was about to say.
Yeah.
I figured it would be
So-
Capture the Flag.
My fondest memories and only experience with Capture the Flag was Quake 2 Capture the Flag, and there was a mod that gave you a grappling hook, so you could like Spider-Man through these large levels, like get the flag, and then you're like, trying to work your way back. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about how that works here, right? Like if you have the flag, is that increased speed? Do you have like a little bit more armor? You don't have a gun. It's hard enough to move around when you're getting shot by 3 people, you know what I mean, versus a whole team. So I've been, like, as much as we want that, I'm trying to figure out how do you not die instantly? You know what I mean? Especially with the way, since free to play and the time to kill is so high right now.
I believe this was a topic, like a very hot topic amongst the sandbox playtesters who really wanted Capture the Flag to be added, but so far, almost a year in, they haven't said anything.
On the Google sheet that I made, because I was kind of helping them do some of that stuff, it's the #1 most requested item out of like 90 things that were requested.
Off the top of your head, do you know how many people voted for it?
I could pull it up, but I want to say that we had over 200 or 400 responses. And there was a lot of responses.
Yeah, I think that's like a majority of the active testers too.
Yeah.
Because like actual early access testers, like there's maybe like 5,000, but like 4,000 of them don't actually do anything.
Right.
But I know like sandbox testers, I think there was like 500, and like 300 of them actually played and did something like that. That's a pretty big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to general Pop 1 things. What got you into Pop 1 in the first place?
Let's see here. So I remember Christmas had just passed. It was like 2 days after Christmas, and my buddy Jason, I remember like, Christmas is an expensive holiday, right? I just, spent all this money, had Christmas. Buddy Jason told me that his wife had bought him a Quest. He's like, bro, VR is insane. Or Quest 2. He's like, you got to get one. I'm like, looking at my credit card, like, I shouldn't do this. So I was like, all right, fuck it. Merry Christmas again to me. So I buy it. And I'd always, for like probably 3 years prior to that, I'd always wanted to play Beat Saber. It had just looked so cool. And so as soon as I got it, bought Beat Saber, me and the wife, I remember we're playing it, and like, the battery would die in 2 hours. It'd always be like, she'd be done playing, I'd have to charge it for like another hour and a half before I could use it again. So I guess Beat Saber was the draw. At least that was the first thing that I was exposed to maybe the most online, because I just thought that was so cool to have the lightsabers and like, like bounce into the music, getting in that like flow state. I thought that looked super cool. And then, just kind of in that Quest store, right? Like, what are games that people are playing in? I know Sergeant Slaughter in real life. We're in a bourbon group. He lives, probably 20 minutes away from me. And so I remember me and him and my neighbor Jason, I had convinced him to buy one. He doesn't play anymore. He plays like Apex now on console. The 3 of us, like, I remember us loading in and playing bots. We did that like 4 or 5 times, and it's like, all right, let's go like play against real people. And just like being a noob, getting pressed by like Vape Life and just all those players from way back in the day, like, and all that time shopping, and just being so frustrated, like, just getting destroyed. But we just kept playing every day, every night, and you start to kind of find your legs after a while. And I think it's kind of like golf. If you've ever played golf, it's a super frustrating sport. You can't pick it up fast, but you could have a terrible round, but you could hit the golf ball great on one swing, and you're like, yep, back.
I guess you could like describe it as like a Wheel of Fortune. You have like a lot of bad sections, but you also have a lot of good sections, kind of like you have a lot of bad games, good games. And I know there are like a lot of people that I know are some of the best players in the game, but when they first started, they hated it because they kept getting smacked and smacked and smacked. And I know somebody who quit, and then they're like, okay, fine, there's a new update. I think it was for Kingdom Age. He came back for Kingdom Age, and now he loves the game. He plays it every day. Not really every day now, because school's back. But yeah, he plays the game a lot, and he likes the game now because he, like you said, he found his flow. He likes the guns. He found the guns he likes. He found the play style he likes. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people like that. I remember back in the day, like OG days, December. That's the first major Christmas wave. The amount of people who were trash at the game made it actually fun, because it was just a lot of people going around having fun. Like everyone was super bad, but like they were all in the same situation as you. They just got their VR or something like that, and they wanted to check out the games and stuff like that. And Pop 1, I think the only other game that was similar to Pop 1 in any aspect was Pavlov, because Pavlov had a moddable battle royale mode, which is absolutely garbage, by the way. But like, it was really bad because it was a workshop mod. But like Pop 1 was like the game to have if you wanted something unique, because it was the only thing on the store. Now Pop 1 is so big that other games are copying Pop 1. Like Zenith took the flying and the climbing. So did whatever that's called. Gun Raiders took the flying and the climbing. So it's kind of cool to see how big Pop 1 has gotten to where other games are copying it. But also the players that also didn't like the game found their footholds, and now they do. So it's pretty cool to see that.
I think the only other game I tried was Hyper Dash, and I gave that at like an hour, and then I was like, no, this is not what I'm looking for.
I'm still not a huge fan of Hyper Dash. Even when I got it back, I refunded it, and I started playing it again because it was free. Still not, like, it feels exactly how it did when I played it when it was on SideQuest. It doesn't feel like they changed anything. Just added a few new maps, a store, and that was it. Which is probably why I went free to play, but...
Sure.
Sorry, Lester, I can't play right now, I'm busy. This man be like 3 days yesterday. Did play them. So this is, a big one, and I know... I'm pretty sure you already know about this. Well, obviously you do. You showed me it. The Asgard's Wrath collab. What is your opinion on the Asgard's Wrath collab?
So I think that, one, it was really cool to see that they had a collab to begin with, right? And I was like, yep, I'm gonna buy that. I haven't worn it in a while, but I do have the skin, and it was really fun to wear, especially that first week. It's like big old diesel guy, and everyone's like, whoa, look at that, I've never seen. It has that big wow factor. So I think the collab is cool. I think also like it's about time, but again, the other side of the business is all the licensing and how much that's going to cost and everything, right? So as much as we all would like to see like, Star Wars or things from your favorite shows and favorite games in here, all that cost money, right? And the player base probably isn't big enough to make all the money back and what it would cost to license it.
Especially like the big corporations like Star Wars or Halo or Game of Thrones or stuff like that.
The things you would want, like if they. I'm
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good.
I just did it again. Jesus Christ.
So I guess I find it as a positive. I think it's cool. I just want to see more of it now.
Yeah, I think the most farthest I'll see them going is maybe with other Oculus-owned games. I used to use Onward as an example, but I can't do that anymore because they left. I guess you could say contractors maybe. I'm not sure if they're owned by Meta or not. But I think that's the farthest they'll go with it, is other Meta-owned games, because it's Meta on Meta. If that makes any sort of sense. I'm pretty sure Asgard is owned by Meta too, and that's probably why they did it. So back to general Pop 1 stuff. What is your biggest flaw with the game?
Well, I guess it's good if nothing immediately sticks out.
I mean, I've had some people who instantly just name something. And
Yeah.
so,
Well,
that,
so
that
so okay, we speak with like the PC crowd, right? Like, there's a lot of people that having like the lag issue with the skins and all the, the blue screen, and I guess I've just been fortunate in my PC setup, and I've tried to help like lots of people as well. I just don't really run into issues. I guess, when the comms were really bad, whether you're PC or native, that was an issue, but I haven't had that happen. Everything loads for me. I'm seeing a lot more frequently, at least a couple times a session, as the connection thing come up. I used to like never see that for like weeks and months, but now it's like every time we play, it comes up at least once or twice. And it cost me the other day, which, I mean, whatever, but like, I'm not going to get all bent out of shape, but it's annoying. But yeah, I don't have a big gripe with it in terms of how it performs.
and that's a pretty big thing because you've been playing the game for almost 2 years now. The other people I've talked to have only been playing it for maybe like a few months, and they just start naming things. So it's almost like more experienced players understand where Big Box is coming from, as opposed to where the newer players, they see an issue, no matter how small it is, they just think they need to fix this. This needs to be changed. This is overpowered. There's not enough of this, and I'm guilty of that. I've complained a lot. Like a lot. I think you've even seen me complain a lot. I'm like, there's not enough seasons, too many reskins, bundles are too expensive. But then, like, after I do that, I'm like, well, maybe it's because of this, or this, or this. So it's like, more experienced players understand, and because they've talked to Big Box. First of all, Spike is a great help. I love Spike. He's
Spike's good.
Help me personally. He might. I mean, as you said, he let you do the documents for sandbox testing. He's usually active in the server, in the feedback channel, and the support channel, helping people. And no matter how rude they are, he'll still sit there and try and help them.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, he's impossibly nice. So.
Same with Ron. Me and Ron goof around a lot. Like, we goof around with the skins. I played with him once, and he is I think the silliest big box dev you will ever meet. He is ridiculous, and I love him. So,
That's
like,
awesome.
even though people have problems with big box, they don't know big box. They don't know who they are. Because we do, the more experienced players do, because we talk to them, we meet with them, they help us. They are one of the most open and generous developer teams I've ever met. And I think it's awesome that we get to work with them, but that's just my opinion.
No, I agree.
Alright. So, we're almost done here. I'm sorry if this is taking longer than usual.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm here.
So, story question here. Obviously in Season 1 they had the story of Bureaus versus the Seekers. And they had the skins coming out, they had the weekly map changes, they had the seasons. And it's still sort of going on today, but not as much. Would you mind if the story came back, or would you prefer if they more focused on the gameplay and sort of just like ignored the story?
Well, I don't see why you can't do both. Like, it's easy enough to have a story, like to have the lore while still developing the game, in my opinion. I don't think it's one or the other. And I enjoyed, seeing those clips, like when Summit came out, right? I think there was like a video clip of like the M60 on top of the Pop 1 sign. I'm trying to remember back. We all enjoyed the seasons, the people that I play with. I remember hearing, like, I understand why they don't do them anymore, because I think it was like a huge lift for the entire team to all that content. But man, those seasons were fun. Like, season 1 was great. Like, remember when Frontier came out? I remember like playtesting that. Remember when like Metro came out and all that stuff. There was just like, oh man, like I loved Cliffsides, but Frontier is outstanding. And Refinery, I was never a huge fan of it. It was just a place on the map for me. So when it became Metro, I was just like, wow. But in terms of like the story, like we still see those skins kind of come out here and there, but it's like, if you're new, you don't know anything about it. You know what I mean? What's Seeker, right? I guess I know Bureau because like you have Bureau Cold and secret coins, I guess you would know that, but you wouldn't know anything else about it if you were brand new. So yeah, I would love to see the story come back. I think that would be fun, you know, my opinion.
All right. Yeah. See, another thing about that, I don't know if you do this, but on the Oculus app, when they release the new bundles, it has a tiny little description there about the bundle. And if it's a Bureau bundle, like for the Bureau Enforcer, it like talked about how the Bureau programmed it to do this. Or during the Brood Vandal, it said that it was a Brood suit that was stolen and rebranded by the Seekers. And it's like, so far that's all we've gotten since Metropolis, and it's kind of sad to see that that's all we get now.
Yeah.
Just like store bundles and stuff. Okay, so final question here, and this is kind of a big one.
Okay.
If you were to say one thing to Big Box, what would you say?
See, do I want to be like selfish, or is this for like the greater good of the community? I really would like a PJ Santa in my account.
Hey, Spike. Hey, Spike. I got.
Yeah, I already asked him. He said no. One thing to Big Box. I mean, like outside of Capture the Flag, I would probably say, I mean, so I'm a big supporter of Sandbox, and you know, I like that, you know, there's a revolving update there, but there needs to be a new, you know, point of interest added to the map. That isn't a Sandbox related one. We need to have map changes, you know, kind of come. I talked to Casey about it a little bit. We need to have the map changes come back, and if you're not gonna, you know, have a map change for a while, then at least give us like the night mode, you know, the chance of getting night mode again. I mean, there's like little things you could do just that could like keep the restless crowd at bay. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look, night mode's back for the next month. Like, oh, cool. Like, everyone loves night mode, you know? I really enjoyed Neon night mode. I thought that was really awesome. Yeah, so more points of interest, or at least, you know, do something with, you know, daytime, nighttime. I'm not going to ask for something huge and large, you know, but those are things that come to mind.
Can we have Metropolis take over like half the map, but just have like every building be Pop and Chicken themed, please? I'll take that.
That'd be crazy.
It'd be way too much.
Yeah.
I feel that's the biggest problem I have with Metropolis. Is it's great for Metropolis Royale, but in squads there's way too many hiding spaces combined with the actual map. That's my opinion. But 6 months of work, I think it was worth it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, before we end it off here, are there any platforms we can find you on? If you want to plug yourself, you can feel free to do that.
Yeah, I'm on Twitch, Weller107 _. I have a YouTube, but I don't post a ton of stuff there. I've been trying to get better at that, and I think it's the same, Weller107 _. Discord, Weller107 Rad, or maybe just Weller107. I'd have to look. It's all Weller107, and there's not too many of us, so it's probably me if you're looking.
Alright, that is gonna wrap up the very first episode of the Loopy Land podcast. I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to thank Mr. Weller for coming out here and speaking with me. Go show him some love. Go play a Sandbox maps. They're probably top 5 in the entire Pop 1 community. So, thank you for everything that you do, your content, your maps, everything, your playtesting, all that stuff. And with that said, I will see you all later. Goodbye.
See ya.